Hey, this is Politics with Laura. Politics, I want to be. I'm sorry, this is Politics with Laura. I'm politically incorrect. Political correctness is the problem with this world. Everyone's politically correct. Nah. But Cornel West, I got a good one for you today. Drinking my cafe au lait. Cornel West. Now, I have followed Cornel West's career for a number of years, and I have to say I'm surprised but not surprised that he has run for office. And on one hand, let me see, I'm surprised, but I don't know. But let me hold off on that. Now, there has been a lot going on with Cornel West. He first splashed his name into becoming the candidate, throwing his hat to be a president of the United States. From being a professor of philosophy and activist, written many of books, sundry of books on the experience within the United States. Whether if the person, before he spoke a lot about Black experiences and white supremacy. Why am I having problems? You don't want me talking about this, YT, huh? You don't want me talking about this? Now you're messing up my live stream already? You probably know which way I'm going to go with this. But, again, Cornel West. A man that has many hats. And he has given himself to his students, to the political arena, to the Black experience of the United States. And now he's at the point to where he's talking about everyone's experience with the United States, because he's talking about people as a whole suffering, whether if it's class, gender, all of the above. Now, what prompted this was Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, most definitely. I saw his video, and I have to say I was interested in. It was very interesting, and I was quite surprised that Stephen A. Smith was he was open, and I have to say he did give him some hardball questions. I was surprised. Now, other content creators are saying, "Oh, Cornel West slammed." No, that's not what happened. And that's clickbait. I do think that Cornel West did hurt his campaign terribly. He did. And by him being so outspoken and being passionate about what his cause happens to be, he just says it, and he says it in a way that is so lyrical and jazzy, all those things. But before I go any further, let me first let me go ahead and share my screen so you can get an idea of. My phone is ringing at the wrong time, but I'm going to ignore it. Okay, here. Alrighty. Okay. Why did this not want to work? At the wrong time. Why are you doing this to me? Okay, here, the Green Party candidate Cornel West owes more than. Wait a minute, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. That's not where I wanted to go. Oh, this is not good. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is still happening again. Okay. Please bear with me for a second. Please bear with me. Oh my goodness. All right. This is where I wanted to go. Okay. Cornel West. He announces his U.S. presidential campaign with the People's Party. Now, here's what's interesting here. He started off with the People's Party because well, he was a, how can I say, he's a liberal. Socialist, I kind of lean more towards communist, socialist. Some people may get mad at me, but that's okay. I'm just saying how I feel, but I'm trying to be as open as possible. Okay, we'll leave that thought alone. Okay, so he's a 70-year-old activist, intellect, democratic socialist, and on Twitter, he will be the candidate for the 2024 um, contest, which I think this is going to be very interesting. Now, do I think or believe that Cornel West is going to win? That I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all because Dr. West, who was at Harvard and Princeton, at both those schools for many, many years, and he has been a thorn in their side for many, many years. Oh my goodness. I don't know how he did it. But hmm, but being president, I think is a different beast than being an intellect. Because by him being an intellect, he theorizes everything. Everything is theoretical. But now the part is when it comes to practical, to practice. By him being president, then he could take his theories and put it into practice. But by him being starting off in the People's Party and then had it turned to the Green Party, he did explain why he did that. He did that because the People's Party was only in one state. And after when he announced his candidacy, they opened up to 27 to I think 27 to 30 or 40 states. I'm not quite sure. And but by that time, Green Party is all over. So that's where he stayed. So his candidacy is going to be an interesting one. Many people think, or some people think, that he has a chance at winning. In which, by him throwing his hat in the ring, that is a true statement. He does have a chance. Now, between the two major parties, the Democrat and Republicans are the dominant parties. Then you got to stop and think: how many people can he get from those two parties? You have diehard Republicans, diehard Democrats. You can't move them at all. But you have those individuals that can swing back and forth that are Democrats and that are Republicans. And also you have the independents. Now, what people don't talk about are there is from my understanding, about 40% of the population, especially in the black community, are so fed up with the Democrats and Republicans, they don't vote. Now, can Cornel West get those people? Is it possible? I believe so. I believe he has a chance. But the well oiled machine that he talks about the corporate greed, about all of it, but by him going into this, um, he faces the same challenges of the seduction of money. So by him having the socialist background and free, not free, but everyone gets the equal distribution of funds, it's going to be interesting. So let's go back to the article real quick. I'm going to try hard not to mess this up. I finally got this program down, and oh man, oh my goodness. All righty. Okay, so 70 years old, 70-year-old activist, public intellect, announced Monday that he's running, and this right here was, when was this written? I think it was about, where's the date? Okay, I don't see the date. Okay. For the People's Party now. I just said that he started off with the People's Party, but then he went to the Green Party. And he stated why. Okay, West made his announcement on video and posted it to Twitter saying, and it's interesting how everyone now is using social media to get their points out. Yes, they go to talk shows and news, but now the big thing is social media. That's where everyone is. That he had decided to run for truth and justice. Now this cause right here, I think it's noble. It's a noble cause to run on a platform for truth and justice when truth when truth doesn't exist, and justice, you really can't see justice. It's hard to find justice, it's hard to see it. So I think on this part here, he's going to really rattle the cages of many people. And I know one person is really surprised that I'm saying this. Yeah, he's rattling many cages. And are you okay?
I got her.
Do you need any help?
I have her. Her foot got tangled in the chair leg of the shower thing.
Okay, do you need any help?
She said no.
Okay, I'm sorry, my mom. Okay, where was I? Okay, so he's in the place, this place to where truth and justice simply does not exist. And by him throwing it out there, throwing everything that he knows about social justice, and he's a political activist, he's putting all of that into the campaign and rattling cages. So when he talked about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and I thought it was very interesting when he labeled them both as Donald Trump a neo-fascist, to where he labeled Joe Biden a neoliberalism. And for me, those titles, I don't care which side, it's not good. It isn't good. And when Stephen A. Smith asked him which one, and I'm paraphrasing, which one is worse? He said Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And he said that he felt that Donald Trump will lead the United States into a civil war, and that Joe Biden will lead the world into a world war. Now, which one is worse? For me, it doesn't matter. Both is going to mess up my hairstyle. Adolescent outburst. So, and that right there is most definitely shaking the doors, because he's getting at both, and he's offending both. Offending both. Offending them in a fundamental way, right down to the floor and down to their policies. Now, he stated that Joe Biden, through his 47 years of being in politics, he supported many horrible policies that affect the Black community and still affects the Black community today. He also stated that Donald Trump, his policies has affected people as a whole. And I thought that was quite interesting. So I'm thinking, so Joe Biden is just only affecting Black people, whereas Donald Trump affects everyone. Well, I mean, I think that Donald Trump affecting everyone, I think that's a good thing. Everybody ought to be uncomfortable, upset, and pissed off. And not just one group of people, but all groups of people. That's just me. Okay, let's get back to the article. Um, okay, so let me see. So it's a little bit of background. He says, I come from a tradition where I care about you," West said. "I care about equality of life, and I care about whether we have access to jobs with living wages, decent housing, and women can control their bodies." Now, I'm really surprised at this right here. And women have control over their bodies. Now, this right here, I have a problem with. I have a huge problem because it goes against, in my opinion, by him being a social activist, it goes against the foundation of the black community in which he was speaking out against. So if he's saying, and I don't know whether, I don't want to say he's pandering to the left. I don't want to say that, but that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, right there, right there. So, and then you're going to hear something a little different because I have a couple of clips, real short clips of videos to where he's talking to Stephen A. Smith, and I just say it was quite revealing. And I gotta give Stephen your props, even though I don't like the way how you reamed on Kwame Brown for the past 20 years. That was kind of funky, and when he trashed you, I was like, you deserved every bit of that. But here, I have to say, you did a fair job. You did. So so we're going to get into that in a second. Let me go back to this article. All right. Now here's listen to listen to it for yourself. Fair use, Cornell. Please don't strike me on Twitter.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life.
I thought that was good. Back again, truth and justice. It's oh man. Between Donald Trump and his alternative facts. Oh man, Donald. But that was his first time in public office and the highest office in the United States as president of the United States. Then you have Joe Biden. I don't know where Joe. You can't clean that mess up. He don't even know what day it is, what month. He gets his wife and his sister confused. Oh my goodness, that right there's a complete mess. But can't make this up. You truly can't. And the one, and this is rather interesting because I'm an independent. And when I look at Cornel West, and someone's going to be very surprised at me saying this, I think he's the one that stands out the most, that really has a great understanding of what's going on within the world. The only thing that the problem lies is how does he, excuse me, how does he take that brilliance, knowledge, and understanding and put it into true practice by dealing with some cutthroat people? Joe Biden doesn't know what day it is, and Donald Trump is an alpha guy, and he'll bend people to get his will done. Just my thought, but Cornel West does bring a lot of life and truth within this political sphere. Um, okay, excuse me. Okay, and most definitely, Professor West is he doesn't really call himself a Christian, but he walks with Christ. So here, West, a professor of philosophy, a Christian practice, at the Union Theological Seminary and a former professor at Harvard and a predominant academic figure in the commentator for decades. And he repeatedly criticized and described the neoliberal establishment that dominates the politics and describes himself as a democratic socialist. I believe I already said that. But West promotes his bid for presidency on Monday, which we already talked about, appeared on Russell Brand. Now, if you don't know who Russell Brand is, he is a person to get to know. He is one of those, I don't want to say extreme leftists, but he is very passionate about people. He's passionate about what's going on in the world and how can he contribute to making life better for the world. And he does ruffle a lot of feathers, and he's unapologetically a feather ruffler with no problem. So, and I like that about him. He upsets people and he shakes the doors as Cornel West, Dr. West does. Show online and video sharing the platform on Rumble. So he's just going through the different platforms. But here, we need more radicalism within the politics, Brand said, as he started off with his show, mentioning him in the same breath with other long shot presidential candidates, Marianne Williamson, the anti-shot activist, Robert Kennedy Jr. There's certain words I can't say because YT will most definitely give me issues, as they did when I started off the stream. I'm just like, oh man. Okay, so he's most definitely making a big splash, and within that splash, he ruffled some serious feathers, and I think I know where he ruffled the feathers. Now let me go on Stephen A. Smith real quick, and so you can take a look at it for yourself. I'm going to take some short clips and we can take a look at it, and then I'm going to tell you where I believe he made these mistakes. Well, not mistakes, but where he really ruffled the feathers 3 weeks ago to where what's going on now. Somebody or somebodies are really trying to kick him off the campaign trail because he's saying some serious stuff. And oh goodness. All right. Fair use, Stephen A. Good work. So let me go ahead and get to the skinny of it.
And then to link it to justice. And justice is what love looks like in public. So it's very much a love train that I'm talking about. And when you look at American politics, though, brother, whew,
it's bad.
Both. Oh, man.
I've never seen it this bad, Dr. Cornel West. I've never seen it this bad.
You're right. It's a low moment, man.
And that I have to most definitely agree with, because the politics is so bad to where people are literally having fistfights. They're beating each other up over politics, over who may be a better president or a better candidate. You have the Trump supporters and the Biden supporters are beating the slobber knocker out of each other. And that right there is very true.
Mediocrity, milquetoast, mendacity, levels of corruption, and people just lying. Both parties, both tied to big money, both tied to a next election. And none of them are speaking to the needs of those so-called everyday people, of poor and working people. 63% of our fellow citizens living from paycheck to paycheck every month, man.
I'm wondering in all sincerity, why now? Because I know it's been bad, but there's a level of hopelessness that I think has infiltrated politics in such a way that I've never seen in my lifetime. I'm 55 years of age. I've never seen it like this. Even when we saw people like yourself, obviously you were born before me, and because of that, you were living in the midst of the civil rights era. You saw unfairness, you saw degradation, you saw a lot of heinous and insidious things taking place in our country. But for some reason, no matter what trials and tribulations this nation or a segment of our populace was enduring, Dr. West, there was always hope. I look at the divide right now, and truth doesn't matter. It's what I want. Whatever it is that I want, that's all that matters. There's no compromise. Compromise is not a priority. Truth is not a priority. And that begs the question, why run now when hopelessness seems to have pervaded the proverbial proceedings?
Before he gives his answer, what Stephen A. Smith said was most definitely true. There is a hopelessness. And when you go outside, you can see it in people's faces. Life is just complete turmoil. What is down is up. What is up is down. Facts doesn't matter. It's about what I feel. And it's at the point to where a certain segment of the population of the United States, they basically run a lot of things. And if you say anything to them, you're going to have a whole lot of trouble. But if they do anything to you, they get away scotch free. And that right there is most definitely true.
Well, I think that's a powerful reason for running, because keep in mind, I'm running for truth and justice. The presidency happens to be just a vehicle and a vessel for it. But right when the moment is at its dimmest and grimmest is the time when you have to try to cast your light in the form of your witness and your work. And in the same way to you, in your own context, you got to bear witness. You got to cast your light. And most importantly, be yourself and be true to those who love you. All the love poured into you, all the love poured into me, all the integrity poured into me by Irene and Clifton West, Shiloh Baptist West, Black Panther Party, all of my different friends. And I have friends that come from different ideological and political perspectives. You know what I mean? That I don't look for political agreement. I think of a brother like James Brown. You know, James Brown, one of the greatest.
Of course.
And you know how, well, if you don't know Dr. West, he's quite long-winded. But I want to jump to something else that, okay, get it out of the way. Now,
most importantly, brother, you learn how to take a stand. You're not spineless. You're not just going with the flow.
What about people that look at Dr. Cornel West and they say to themselves, you are a black man, highly educated, far more knowledgeable than most of us. I know I've learned so much from just listening to you. I watch you every chance that I get when you're doing interviews with various people, because it's just edifying, to be quite honest with you. And they look at you and they say, you know so much, and you talk about everyone on an equal playing scale, as opposed to speaking about, okay, black folks are at a disadvantage. And when you talk about it from that perspective, it's appreciated. When you talk about other folks who have suffered, some people have said, Dr. Cornel West, what about us? What about us? What about us? What do you say to that, particularly in this day and age when we're witnessing the times that we're witnessing in, and the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the college admissions issue with the...
Okay, before he goes on with that, I have to say I agree with what Stephen A. Smith is saying, because black people are at the bottom. And according to oh my goodness, his name is leaving me right now. But black people within maybe a 20-year span, I don't quite remember exactly what time frame that we have, is that we're going to be at zero income. And that we're in just, black people are just in such a dire straight situation, and everything is completely chaotic within the black community. Now, having said that, People are looking at black politicians and say, hey, you got to do more for black people because everyone's getting something but black people. You have, going back throughout times, through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you had the Jewish community, they got their reparations and they get it. It reoccurs every year. The American Indians got reparations 4 times. You have the Chinese that got the reparations. You got the oh my goodness, the Japanese during the 1940s got the reparations, and even the Indians that walked the Trail of Tears, they got it in the 70s, but it took them 150 years to get it. So having these groups of people that already had it, when do black people get their due? Besides people saying, "Well, that happened back then." It didn't happen to you, but you're not saying that to the people that walk a Trail of Tears. That right there has never been said. They gave them what was owed to them, and so now Cornel West, Dr. West, throughout his tenure of not only in school but just him being a political activist, he has said black people this, black people that, black people that. But now it's like everyone. And I've noticed his rhetoric has changed over the years. And I'm going to get to why. I'm going to get I'm going to get to the other part of it, but why? So, listen for his answer. It's quite interesting.
The Supreme Court and race being omitted as a consideration and all of these other things that people point to, and they look at you and they feel like you're supposed to take a different position than you have taken. How do you respond to that?
Well, one is, though, brother, you can't talk about integrity for me unless you talk about moral consistency.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm also a revolutionary Christian.
That's right.
I'm a follower of Jesus of Nazareth. What does that mean? That means that
All people,
everybody has the same significance. They're made in the image of a great God. I don't care what color you are, what gender, what sexual orientation. I don't care what national identity you are from. You have the equal status and significance. So I'm trying to love everybody, but I begin on the chocolate side of town. How come? Because my mama and daddy were chocolate. They shaped me. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I couldn't even begin to love myself without acknowledging those who love me, that taught me what love is all about. But that love is not going to stay just on the chocolate side of town. No, my white brothers and sisters are suffering. I'm in solidarity with them. I want to do everything I can to alleviate it. If my indigenous brothers and sisters, if my Spanish speaking, if my Latino, if Lithuanians, if Ethiopians, Ukrainians, across the board, Russians, across the board, it's a human thing. You see what I mean? It's profoundly human. It really.
Okay, now this is where I disagree with him. I disagree with him because all the people who he named has backing, has some type of backing, has some type of groups, have countries backing them. Now, when he mentioned the border, now the people that are coming in through, oh man, okay, how do I say this? I'm just going to say it, clean it up later. They are coming in illegally, and even the Democratic Party has changed their status from being illegal aliens to illegal migrants to where they get a lot of special treatments that Black Americans don't get, but at this point Americans don't get, and people that came here legally had to jump through hoops to get here don't get. Now, I think that, in my opinion, he might want to stop and just sort of think about what he's saying, because right now 7 million people. Shauna, oh, I'm sorry, hold on. am so sorry. I deeply apologize. Oh my goodness. Okay, where was I at? Okay. Woo. Um, People coming across the border and getting access to a sundry of different programs and programs for them to where, and I don't want to go too far off topic, but Cornel West is going to have to really address that and look at that to where people in Staten Island, I'm sorry, Staten Island, they are putting elderly people out to put these immigrants, give them a place to live, but they're displacing elderly people. This is the hot topic. People are upset. And by him including everyone, you got to first straighten this out before you start putting a whole other people first. And that's what the Democratic Party has been doing. The Republicans are like, no. And now the independents have to go and jump in order to. But let me go ahead and let him finish saying what he was saying.
Let me go to this. You initially ran under the People's Party and you switched to the Green Party. Just for clarification, I'd like you to clear up for folks why you switched from the People's Party platform to the Green Party.
Well, I mean, I was blessed that the People's Party came forward, but at the same time, they had access to one state. When the People's Party showed a strong interest, they already have access to 17. Will probably be able to get on about 45 or 48, if not 50.
Numbers
so
game.
That made that changes things. There's no doubt about it. But in the end, though, brother, it's not really about the party. It's about the people, man. Right. You know, you got people suffering. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they are. Barrios, ghettos, hoods, reservations, white working folks. It's a human thing. You got 1% of the population owning what now? 40% of the wealth. Yes. 3 individuals in the country have wealth equivalent to 50% of the whole population, 160 million folk. Now, see, that's a grotesque wealth inequality. That's why I was with Brother Bernie when he ran, because he was concerned about that wealth inequality. He was concerned about the callousness and indifference toward poor and working people. Neither Democrats nor Republicans, both of them tied to Wall Street, both of them tied to the Pentagon, with the military budget expanding all the time. Every $1 spent.
That comment right there. Now, when you start talking about the military industrial, the MDC, the military complex, that's when a lot of his issues started, because that is what you don't talk about. Eisenhower warned us about that. JFK, you know what happened to him, warned us about that. And I don't think they had it. I don't know, maybe they did. And then Ronald Reagan warned us about that. The military industrial complex. Okay? I got to be careful what I say. So he's talking about them, shedding light on them. But he goes a little deeper. He digs his hole a little deeper, which leads me to believe why all of a sudden all this information comes out about him that maybe I know that the media knew about it, and the people on the left and the liberals knew about that, but don't say anything until you step out of line. Okay, hold on.
57 cents goes to the military, but when it comes to housing, healthcare, jobs with a living wage, quality education, we don't have no money all of a sudden. Things get very austere. Austerity kicks in so quick. But as soon as we go to war, we find trillions of dollars. Right. When Wall Street is in trouble, what did they do? Bailed them out and got trillions of dollars for support.
Or when COVID, or when COVID happened, all of a sudden we're printing money and we're coming up with trillions of dollars to give. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's just what Martin King called war priorities, my brother.
Yes.
And that right there, you haven't heard anyone talk about that. Not one politician talk about that, because that's where the money comes from, both sides. Both sides. And the Pentagon, gone away, wields a lot of power, and how they fund both sides, and along with the people that are behind them that support the pen gone away. He scratched on some deep, how can I say, problems that this country deals with, and now, and this is one big thing, but another is getting ready to come up. Man, Cornel, Dr. West, Dr. West, Dr. West.
We got war priorities.
You've got
and
8.
it's a human thing.
Yes.
All of us have hatred and greed inside of us,
Right.
but we got to fight it.
Got to
And
fight
the same is true with empires. When empires are driven by hatred and greed, their elites become corrupt, and the people feel hopeless, and they end up following neo-fascist Pied Pipers like Brother Trump. Now, Brother Trump was about prepared to be president as I am. He played them all night in the National Hockey League, man.
Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel.
So he most definitely said some things that I'll let him go ahead and finish.
Cornel West, right here with Stephen A. and the Stephen A. Smith Show. You've got 8 policies that you're running on, Dr. West. Let's go through a few of them as quickly as we possibly can, please, sir. You've been a harsh critic of President Joe Biden during his time as a senator. Why do you think he shouldn't be reelected as president?
Well, I think Brother Biden has been associated really with 2 ugly crimes against humanity. One is mass incarceration. Yeah, it really is. And he had about 4 of them, both with Strom Thurmond before. And then the big crime bill of 94 is 81, it's 84, 86, 91, and then 94. And you see the impact. I've been teaching in prisons, brother, for over 40 years, man. And I love my brothers. And some of the brothers have done some things that's ugly and vicious.
But before he gets into that, let me just let you know a couple of things about what he's talking about, the crime bill. Now, we all know about the Iran-Contra scandal, right? Back in the 80s, there were 2 crime bills. Now, what they're not talking about, the one in 84, I'm sorry, 84 and 86. That was when a lot was happening in California. Now, what they failed to mention was them leaving the trains, and that if go back to my other videos, one I did in early January talking about the trains, and the one I did about maybe 4 or 5 months before that, about a year, talking about the trains again, to where the CIA, 3-letter agency that starts with a C, left trains at a train hub in LA, California, that it just happened to be unlocked. And it just so happened that people that lived in the Watts area and other, as they call urban, I hate that word, areas, just happened to do, oh, there goes a train, let me open it up. Oh, there is cocaína, there's pistolas, there's bullets. And next thing you know, complete disaster in that area, and then all of a sudden you need a crime bill. And it was, what was it called? The Comprehensive Crime Control back in 1984, and then it came back again in 1986, called the Anti-Drogas Act. And all this stuff, it all connects, but Dr. West he's telling a whole lot of truth, but it's going to be to his own detriment. He's throwing himself on the proverbial sword. Okay.
And they needed some time off. Others were innocent, but they're human beings. And to have them locked up in these warehouses, a form of barbarity that I cannot accept. And for him to be the architect of that, and nobody to really want to talk about the afterlife, the impact of the lives of families as well as those brothers, to me is just wrong. But the other one was the invasion and occupation of Iraq. Over 500,000 Iraqis died. For me, an Iraqi life has the same value as any other human life.
I agree.
You know, I'm the last human being that believes that, hey, you know, Palestinian life has the same as the Israeli life. A Russian life has the same as the Ukrainian life. That doesn't mean that Russians can't be gangsters. It doesn't mean that Israelis can't be gangsters, the Palestinians can't be gangsters, the Ukrainians can't be gangsters. But we have to have a moral and a spiritual compass, and that's all that I'm trying to bring.
But Dr. West, hold on for a second, because let me play the advocate here, and I don't want to use the devil's advocate, but I think it's appropriate here. There are some devils in leadership positions in this world. I mean,
okay, he goes down a rabbit hole, but there's one other thing that I want to bring out. I'm trying to get it to as close as possible. Okay.
I like to listen to both sides. I like to hear. Notice I'm asking questions. I'm not debating when I'm interviewing. I'm asking questions because I want to learn. All right. But I got to tell you that, you know, I hope she comes on, by the way. She hasn't committed to going on. You tried to arrange it 2 times and it didn't happen. But hopefully someday in the near future it will happen. I will ask you this question, though, Dr. West. When you consider the state of affairs that exist in this country right now, and I know you've railed against both and you are prepared to go against both, who's worse for this country right now, the Democrats or the Republicans in the year 2023?
Now, before I let him answer, some of us will say Donald Trump. Some of us will say Joe Biden. And have a sundry of different reasons. Now, what I find rather interesting is that the sundry of different reasons for Donald Trump. Look, hold on to your comments. Don't sit there and say, oh, you're black and you're supposed to be a Democrat. I'm an independent, okay? An independent thinker. A lot of what's said about Donald Trump cannot be attached to policies about how they feel. I feel. But when it comes down to Biden, you could attach it to policy. That's just my 2 cents. But wait for Dr. West, what he says.
Well, you see, you have to look at it both in terms of the country and the world.
Okay.
Because there's no doubt that Trump is leading us toward a second civil war. There's no doubt about that. And trying to undermine democratic procedures and so forth. Biden is leading us toward a 3rd world war with possible nuclear exchange between Russia and ourselves, what I call the proxy war, crushing our precious Ukrainian brothers and sisters in the middle. And so if our choice is between a 3rd world war and a second civil war, then we got to find another way, my brother. We got to find another way.
But respectfully, that still doesn't answer my question. Which one's worse? I would say the world war. Because a civil war would live a lot of bloodshed and stuff like that. But there's the probability of survival. A nuclear war, there ain't no surviving that.
No, it's true. I mean, I just hate to think of both of them. That's what it means to be between a rock and a hard place, brother. I just hate to think of both of them. In the end, there is a sense in which a world war is worse. But Trump is so bad that it's hard to downplay him as second. Both options are, for me, non-negotiably wrong.
How about
non-negotiably acceptable?
How about Governor Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida with the things that he's been doing? Just as recently as days ago, he's supporting, an education system.
Okay, before he even gets into that, and Ron DeSantis, oh my goodness. Ron DeSantis. Well, before I get to Ron DeSantis, I wish Dr. West would have said something about it. Now, I understand why he said neither, but we're not in that space. to where it's neither. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen whether if the Civil War breaks out first, which makes sense. Civil War breaks out and then the World War breaks out. It's going to happen because you hear, oh man, that complete Oprah Winfrey was talking about too many people being on Earth. Then you had Prince William saying there was too many people on Earth. And then if you really want to get down to the fundamentals of it, Henry Kissinger talking about the depopulation, which gates of hell is carrying it through so many different ways that right there is occurring that you can't talk about. Or the Fauci ouchie, can't talk about those things. But I just wish that Dr. West sincerely threw himself out there talking about the military industrial complex. Since he already said that, on one hand, women have their choice, but then he sort of deviated and was like, no, I'm kind of against it, which really pissed off a lot of his base right there. Now, that's where we are. Now, having said that and listening to that conversation, with Stephen A. Smith, which I have to say, I got to give him credit. He did a really good job. And his content creators, that's terrible clickbait because even though that I didn't play the whole thing, I did play certain that I thought were important to his candidacy. It was a fair exchange, and he was fair, not that he slammed them. Stop doing that. It's disingenuous. Okay, I'm done. Now, let's get to the bad part. Okay, now Dr. West is going to have some really big issues because just recently, a lot of information has come out about him as far as his child support. Now, it's said that he denied that, but the fact that it's out there, not paying taxes. And let me just go ahead and show you the, what do you call it? The article so that you can see for yourself. All right, here. I don't know how to get rid of this up here. Let me see if I can.
Reasons for why you were denied this time, and why did you decide to leave rather than pursue your case?
Well, it's a complicated case in the sense that it was a 10-year review that they had denied, and I think they've changed their mind now, but it's too late. And I don't really know exactly why. They said maybe age, but no, that couldn't.
Okay, that right there is about him, his tenure at Harvard. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get some backlash about this, but it's how I feel. Now, you have been a freedom fighter for black people for all these years. Not one time has he ever worked at an HBCU. He has worked at Ivy League universities. He worked at Harvard and Princeton. He didn't go to Tuskegee. He didn't go to Spelman. He didn't go to, oh my goodness, he didn't go to Bowie. He didn't go to Howard or UDC or Cheney. I already said Tuskegee. The HBCUs that he could have gone to, that's not what he did. He only stayed with the Ivy League. Now, for me, this is just simply for me, that if you're going to talk and fight for black people, then you're going to have to be amongst and teach the black people in order to get them where you believe that to where you believe that they should be. Now, people are going to get upset with me. That is okay, but it doesn't discredit what I said. It doesn't at all, because he is about the equal distribution of funds. but when it comes to the equal distribution of funds, it does not apply to his pocket. Okay, don't get upset with me. Please don't, but it's true. Okay, back to the thing. All right, so here, I'm sorry, this thing is not, it's not going up, but here, he really upset some people, really upset because they're going back to 2013. I'm so surprised that they didn't go back 70 years ago, or even 60 years ago when he was late on a library card or taking a book back late. I mean, you know. But here it says records show. It's quite interesting. So here, records show West owes nearly $446,000 in federal income tax from 2013 and 2007. Now, let's pay close attention to this. Records show. So Freedom of Information Act, they already knew this. So why bring this out now? Why was this not brought out when he was at Princeton, or when he was at Harvard, or when he's at wherever he's at now? When he first announced to become, to throw his hat in the ring for president, they didn't bring it out. No, but all of a sudden, now, I find that sneaky and suspicious. Just my, spidey radars going up, going out, saying, there is something sneaky about this. And then it says, this came after he accrued, later repaid a debt nearly $725,000 from 2008 and 1998 and 2005, and more than $34,000 in 2008, according to tax records in Mercer County, New Jersey. Okay, why is that not going away? Where he owns his home. So, you see, it goes on. The tax debt may have not been paid off the tax debt may not be paid off as 30 days ago, but new available data, according to the Mercer County records, ABC News reached out to West and his campaign, and West had planned to pay off the debt and set up a payment plan. I mean, that doesn't look good at all. That doesn't look good. You're getting slobber knockered. I mean, and again, like I said, whomever you pissed off, and I told you where I thought it was with the military complex, and first saying that women had a right to choose, and all of a sudden it's something a little different. Now you're going a little bit back and forth here. I mean, okay. And like I said earlier, there's a difference between theorizing, but taking your theory, it's just a theory, and actually putting it to use. It's going to be quite interesting. Now, if Dr. West is able to overcome this, he's going to have to stand flat-footed. Okay, that sounds terrible. 10 toes down on his beliefs and stick to it. But going back and forth, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Get to that base that people, because he said in that video with Stephen A. Smith that 40% of Americans do not vote because they're just so upset between Democrats and Republicans. They just like, forget about it. I drop out. I'm not voting. That's the ones who you need to go to, and they need someone who's going to be a straight shooter and not say, oh, well, there's alternative facts, fake news, or I don't know, that's my sister, that's my wife. He don't know what day it is. But that's just simply my thought on that. But let me get back to the article real quick. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. And here he gets to the outstanding child support payments owed by Ayatollah Gurdas, his former partner. And, hmm, I thought he. Okay, we're going to get to the other part. Okay, so back child support, and while it's not clear how long West did not pay child support, the family lawyer Kathleen Stockton said that the amount of money appeared substantial, and the average U.S. child support obligations is about 5,800 per year, according to the census. So, so what they're saying is West is nearly 50,000. Now, due to conversations that I had, was that he said that that was a lie, that wasn't true. So, um, for him to overcome a lot of this stuff, I believe he may have to come out and show some receipts, just like Donald Trump and his taxes. It took a while to get, but Donald Trump is many things, many things, but hey. Oh, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, real quick, before I get to the other thing that I want to talk about Cornel West, is he mentioned Ron DeSantis and his horrific curriculum in Florida. I agree. It's horrific. However, if you rely on the state to educate your children, you're in trouble. You're going to have to do some teaching at home. And if you want to learn more about your own history, the schools are lying. I mean, goodness, they're still saying that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and they even take that to Indian reservations. That's how bad it is. How do you go to the original inhabitants of this country and say Christopher Columbus discovered this country? Yeah, you were here, but he still discovered it. Now, unless if discovered, meaning find, or unless if there is a different definition for the word discover, I may need to look it up, because maybe there's a different definition. I don't know, but that's what's being taught. And I'm going to go a little step further. His Ron DeSantis, Black American History. Oh my God. I read it. It is some trash. It is worse than Christopher Columbus discovered America. It is worse than that. It's revisionist of history. It is indoctrination. It is to make people feel comfortable in the founding of the United States and what led up to what we are today. Children need to know the truth. You're over there talking about the bunny rabbit, all types of stuff. Try the truth. Now, for the last part, I find this quite interesting. And some of you, when you come across this, you might be a bit upset with me, but okay. Let's see, where is it? Right here. Now, a lot of people are upset and up in arms that Cornel West is not married at all to a Black woman when he speaks about Black issues. Now, if you go through history, whether if it's the Black Panther Party, they spoke about Black issues. They fought about the Black community, but they weren't able to, how can I say, commit to a Black woman. Now, they're talking about Cornel West doing the same thing. Okay, you're talking about these Black issues, but you have not committed to a Black woman. All right. And I don't even know how old she is, but his youngest, and I don't know if she's the mother or not, but his youngest is 22, his oldest is 46. What a huge gap, but it is what it is. Okay. Are there, let me see, let me put the, if you want to come up or chime in, please do so. I'm sending the link. And if you want to call in, you can. Let me take this down. All right. Let me go ahead and free up some of the space here. So, I mean, I think Cornel West makes I think he makes a lot of good points, and he does. He makes a lot of great points. But there are some things, in my opinion, that he really needs to be firm on. That's just really it. Okay, what are your thoughts? Oh, let me put down my number in case if you want to call in. Okay, here's my number, 301-957-5888. If you want to call in and express your feelings on what you would like to say about what I said. If you think I went too far about Cornel West and that I was being unfair, fine. I understand that. If you think that I didn't go far enough and I was being too easy, fair, fine enough. What do you think? So please call in. And if you would like to donate, right now my channel's not monetized, but however, my other channel, Big Girl Diary, you could Cash App or PayPal, Big Girl Diary at $ Big Girl Diary at Cash App, or at for PayPal at Big Girl Diary. I don't have anything for politics with Laura set up yet. So if you have anything that you would like to say, please feel free to do so. Type something down. But I thought that Cornel West, I think that he's dividing the votes. I think he is, because he knows he's not going to win. He knows he isn't. So my thought is this: if you know you're not going to win, and you felt the need to run, knowing you're not going to win, my thought is this: where will your votes go? Where would it go to? Any of the other Republican Party or any of the Democratic Party? By you being independent, where are you going to shift your voters to make that person's numbers go up? Would it be Tim Scott, a Republican? Would it be, oh my goodness, John F. Kennedy Jr.? Who? Oh, okay. Okay, wow, okay, I have been fair and balanced for the most part. Okay, for the most part. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you very much. I try to be fair, and I try not to put too much of my input. Sometimes I go off the rails when I talk about Joe Biden. I go off the rails, and I try hard not to, but I really do appreciate you saying that. I appreciate that. So I've been here over an hour, and I thank you for your time. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Please, if you like my content, please like, subscribe, share the video. And if you hate my content, dislike my video, subscribe, and tell me why you don't like it. On that note, I want to thank you for stopping by.